Hey, if you have cancer, you 100% need to work on your mitochondrial health. Bad, unhealthy mitochondria equals cancer and disease or other disease. Healthy, good mitochondria equals good health. Remember, you learned about these things in middle school, these components of the cell, the powerhouses of the cell. Yeah, turns out they are that plus so much more. Stay tuned on things we can do to improve mitochondrial health, and some of these will surprise you. Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa Mateka, naturopathic physician, energy worker, and transformational life coach, and I help open-minded women with cancer heal themselves on a deeper level with my innovative programs and compassionate guidance without the confusion and overwhelm. I'm not going to get into all the science on why the deterioration of mitochondria leads to cancer and disease. That is a well-established fact, though, so you can easily look that up. I am going to get into how we can actually help you. Also, though, just a couple quick things. Did you know that fatigue, which is likely what you're feeling, especially if you're going through conventional cancer treatment, but fatigue comes from mitochondria dying. And the more mitochondria that die, the more that cancer can actually progress. A little scary. So we definitely want to work on mitochondrial health. Also, if you have breast cancer or something and are on tamoxifen, tamoxifen just so happens to be a mitochondria killer. That's an unfortunate thing. So we definitely want to support the mitochondria. And the good news is we absolutely can. I am going to get into the different categories of ways we can support the mitochondria. These are going to range from lifestyle things, a lot of things that are free, to various different procedures or practices you can get done, to diet, to supplements. So a whole gamut of things. So before we get to the categories, a very, very interesting fact, and this is just to give you an idea of how important and prevalent the mitochondria are. There's actually a study called Mitochondria Psychobiology, and it's the study of mind-body medicine of the mitochondria. They actually produce more energy when we are feeling good and positive. It is our feelings that predict their energy output and not vice versa, according to a study. So it's not that, oh, when they're doing well and producing energy, we feel more positive. It's our positivity that can actually make them produce more energy. However, people who already have the damaged mitochondria perceive stress differently than those who do not have damaged and who have healthy mitochondria. They actually handle stress better. Mitochondria may actually be the most sensitive things in our body as far as interpreting body signals, which is incredible. I mean, minutes after a stressor, mitochondrial DNA can be found in the serum. They actually release their entire epigenome. By the way, all steroid hormones are made in the mitochondria, and mitochondrial DNA in the blood acts as a hormone. So that just adds to the communication. In fact, it is theorized that just the general connection of how our emotions and our psychology affect our physical health, why that is something is linked with the mitochondria. Okay, I'm gonna go through these quickly. Some lifestyle things for overall mitochondrial health, healthy mitochondria aging, mitochondrial optimization and repair even. Lifestyle. Okay, so there's one of two, you can do both, but really you only need to do one of these two things and you're already gonna be way ahead of the game. And that is getting full spectrum sunlight or doing cold plunges. Okay, so the very interesting thing is people who evolved in higher latitude regions and climates with more sun and more warmth, that is really beneficial to the mitochondria, and that's how they had healthy mitochondria. But the same things that take place in their body to support their mitochondrial health was, was evolved in people who were at the lower latitude regions, who evolved in the cold, because the cold itself did the same thing that the sun did. There's a lot of science to this that, again, I'm not going to make it complex and get into. But so both of those things have the same effect on mitochondrial health. Doing cold plunges or getting full spectrum sunlight. So, okay, so depending on your skin type is going to depend on how much sunlight you need. You obviously don't want to get burnt, but you do want to get some full sun on as much of your bare body as is possible. And the sun has so many more benefits than vitamin D production. It goes way beyond that. It's insane. I can't even get into all the benefits of the sun, but there's so many processes that take place in the body that are stimulated by sunlight. So many good things, including mitochondrial optimization. The sun, that's why the sun is an old school nature cure. Go out and get some sun, really. And cold plunging, as you know, has become popular. And this is ultimately why, because it's doing great things for the mitochondria. So I think like 50-55 is that sweet spot for a cold plunge. You could do a cold shower. But I mean, really anything that's lower than your body temperature is going to be somewhat considered a cold plunge, but you're going to get more benefit if it's like that 55-degree range. And there's a couple different ways people do this. Some people will kind of go with what their genetics are, you know, like for example, I'm mostly Eastern European. So under one theory, oh, I should be doing the cold plunging because that's what my body evolved to do. But then there's other schools of thought that you should adapt to your environment. So where are you? Well, I happen to be in Florida, so it certainly is a lot easier for me to get some sun than it is for me to cold plunge. Even the shower doesn't get that cold here. So I think it's perfectly fine to do what is easiest in your environment. If you're in like a cloudier, cooler region, find a place to do a cold plunge. Sometimes it's not as easy as jumping in. You might have to like walk through a lake or something, or do your own. There's a lot of ways to do it. You get the idea. Exercise is another one on the lifestyle list. So yes, exercise is a form of hormesis, a form of beneficial stress that definitely improves the number and longevity of mitochondria. As we know, exercise is good for so many things, and this is just yet another one. So not only can you improve the health of the mitochondria and their longevity, but you can improve their number too. And that is actually something that exercise, I mean, all of this will improve mitochondrial numbers, but I can give you some actual stats for exercise. Going from a couch potato to running a marathon, that change, which is a pretty big change, can actually double the amount of the mitochondria in your muscle and the amount of mitochondria in the brain as well. And of course, increase their effectiveness as well. So exercise is another great one. And then the last one in this category, because we'll have diet as a separate category, circadian rhythms. This is very important for the mitochondria. For mitochondrial health, it's really important to honor our natural circadian rhythm. This can mean a lot of different things, or there's a couple of different ways we can go about this. So basically, it's about having a natural light cycle. It's about having a natural light cycle. So as much as you can, adjusting your schedule to awakening with the sun. One of the first things you do in the morning, step outside to get some sun on your skin, and then going to bed with the sun. And minimizing the amount of artificial light. So minimizing blue light. This could be by wearing blue blocker shades, or it could be by installing certain softwares on your devices, such as Iris, which takes a lot of the blue light away and makes it more red, amber. Minimizing blue light, because that will blue light disrupts your circadian rhythms. So like, even if all you do is, a couple hours, at least an hour or two before bed. You know, shutting off your devices, not looking at your phone, a computer screen, the TV, having dim lighting, maybe some salt lamps or some amber lamps instead of like the horrible LED lights now that also disrupt your circadian rhythms. Even just doing something simple like that, if you can't totally adjust your schedule, is gonna be a big difference. So, honoring our circadian rhythm and trying not to get so much artificial blue light. And, you know, we're going to get artificial light. Obviously, lights are going to happen. What's best? The incandescent bulbs are honestly better than the energy efficient LED bulbs. You can find, there's special companies that make them though. You can find full spectrum LED lights. Those are great. And otherwise, you know, just closer to the evening at least, you know, minimizing anything that's the fluorescent or the blue lighting. All right, now I'll slip into diet since that's kind of a subcategory of lifestyle. So really, ultimately, the best thing to do for diet for the mitochondria is to eat seasonally and locally. So wherever you are, what can you eat that's local and in season? Okay, I get it. This is really hard to do. Visit your local farmers markets. Find, you know, where you can find some local food. Grow your own food. It's actually crazy because, and studies have shown this somehow, don't ask me how, but somehow the mitochondria are so smart, they actually know if what you're eating is seasonal and local or if it's not, because they respond so differently and so well to when you eat local and seasonal, which is crazy, right? So do that as much as you can. I know it's like hard 100% in our society. Another thing that's very, very important for the mitochondria is the gut microbiome. The gut microbiome has a connection to healthy mitochondria as well. And it has a connection to a lot of things, doesn't it? So eating fermented foods, doing whatever else you can, tests or whatever, to know where your gut microbiome is at and to have a good, healthy gut microbiome. So that is essential as well. And then there's also things that are great because they'll help kill off the bad mitochondria, mitophagy, which is like autophagy, which is killing off the bad ones, which is what you want, are things like fasting, caloric restriction, fasting, even intermittent fasting is going to be good for this, for mitochondrial health. Deuterium depleted water. So I'm putting water here because it kind of goes along with diet. This is an expensive water, so it's not something that's recommended for everybody because it can get quite pricey, but you can buy deuterium depleted water, which is a form of hydrogen, and that is amazing for the mitochondria. So you can either buy that as a supplement, or this also fits into the diet part because you could just eat less deuterium heavy foods because it's the deuterium that's not so great for the mitochondria. And eating less of the deuterium heavy foods are things like eating less processed foods, eating less seed oils, eating less high carbs. There's certain supplements and fruit that have in it that have that as well. And here's some foods that are specifically good for the mitochondria. So let's see if I can remember them. Oh, by the way, some will say the keto diet, some will say the alkaline diet. I'm not so sure about the keto diet, but alkaline's generally good. But as far as specific foods, here we go. For fruit, it's going to be your berries, grapes, pomegranate, apples. For some veggies, we have chili peppers, onions, okay, technically a pepper is a fruit, but anyways, we also have chili peppers, onions, garlic, stewed tomatoes, lemongrass, brassica family. So your cabbages, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, bok choy, those sorts of things. Whole grains, legumes, olive oil, green tea and oolong tea, also milk, also liver, Also seafood such as fish, krill, seal omega-3s. Supplements. So there's a lot of supplements that can be useful for mitochondria, and really they need a lot of the basic vitamins and minerals as well. So it helps to not be deficient in anything like that. Kind of a popular one is PQQ. See if I can say it. Pyrroloquinoline quinone. So PQQ is a vitamin-like compound. It basically has an antioxidant effect and a nootropic effect as well. PQQ. Also CoQ10. Also polyphenols, especially grapeseed extract, quercetin, EGCG, which is the component of green tea. Things like alpha-lipoic acid, which also you can nebulize, and that'll especially help the lungs. Acetyl L-carnitine, which that one also you can nebulize. Magnesium malate, that specific form of magnesium, magnesium malate. Things like taurine, D-ribose, niacinamide, thiamine. We talked about some of the vitamins already. Those are B vitamins. Herbs would include things like Centella asiatica, which is gotu kola, and then also Solomon seal herb. Glycerophospholipids with omega-3s and omega-6s. So basically omega-3s and omega-6s. Fermented wheat germ, which also happens to be good for ovarian cancer, but fermented wheat germ. LDN, so that one you'll need to get from your naturopathic physician because it is a prescription, but it's one of those off-label uses, plus it's a really low dose because it stands for low dose naltrexone. And then also what you'd have to see your naturopath for would be IV glutathione because it's intravenous, but intravenous glutathione is good as well. There's others too, schizandra, berries, curcumin, but those are some of the big ones. So I think I provided you all with quite a bit already. And you don't, I should have mentioned this from the beginning, but you do not need to do all of these. You do not need to do all of these to improve the health of your mitochondria. You could do one of the lifestyle ones, and that might be all you really need to do. You can incorporate a couple of the diet ones. The supplements, I would go with the other ones first, honestly, because supplements can be hit or miss depending on what's the thing your specific mitochondria need. And, you know, also you have to get high quality supplements. Are you assimilating those supplements properly? Those sorts of things. So yeah, take one of those and do it. It's all about a stepwise progression. It's all about how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, as disgusting as that sounds. It's all about one step at a time, Kaizen. So just choose one thing and try it and see if you notice a difference, or try two. But there you go, mitochondria. If you have cancer, you absolutely 100% have unhealthy mitochondria and need to work on the health of them. So the good news is you absolutely can do that. And this is a great, great start. So best of wishes on your cancer journey. Much love.